This is Grace, and despite being an FBI agent, she's never been in this situation before, and no, for those of you out there that are sick little puppies, it's not what you think. So get your mind out of the gutter. Grace, of course, is an FBI agent, and we've heard all this before. I'm sure that you've read tons of articles and seen the screenshots and all of this other stuff regarding Resident Evil Requiem. You also know that Leon S. Kennedy is in a large portion of this game. But if you're watching this review, you either are on the fence about this game or you enjoyed other games in the franchise and you want to pick this up, but you want to find out more before you fully commit. You're reading all these articles online, seeing all this content, and you're like, what is it that Resident Evil Requiem does that makes it so phenomenal and so high on the tier of Resident Evil games? Well, I'm here to tell you exactly what I liked about the game, and some things that I didn't like about the game, and hopefully that will help you to decide for yourself whether Resident Evil Requiem is a game that you want to pick up right now. What's going on, everyone? This is Sergeant Sentinel with another video game review. Now today, obviously, I am talking about Resident Evil Requiem. If you do enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure you do so before you click off of this video. As I said previously, Leon S. Kennedy is a big part of this game. He's actually half of the game, and it does go back and forth between Grace and Leon. And the reason why it really does that is because Leon S. Kennedy has been through the ringer since the events of Resident Evil 2 back in the late 90s. He was one of the few survivors of what went down in Raccoon City, and since then he's only improved his skill set and he's become more formidable and much more capable as a field agent, and because of this, his side of the game is much more action-oriented because all of that training that Grace lacks, he has. Firearms training, hand-to-hand combat, he's cool under pressure, all of it. He knows how to handle complex and difficult situations, especially when dealing with difficult enemies, whereas Grace is completely out of her depth, panicking, freaking out, and for that reason, most of her missions and most of her playthrough is centered around stealth, and it's much more horror oriented. And I think that's a good balance to strike between the two characters because it really leans into the type of person they are at this point within the Resident Evil universe. It's also worth mentioning that Grace is uncovering a mystery about her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, and about who she actually is, where she comes from, and how she's tied to the antagonists of this game. I'm not going to go into any spoilers at all, but let me tell you that this story is very well written, it's very well thought out, and the way she has to problem solve and do a lot of stuff, like you see in older Resident Evil games, find this key here, find this switch there, all of that stuff. Leon still has to do it too, but Grace has to do it a lot more because, of course, she's less capable than him, and her story centers much more around survival horror. So her finding elements to survive and navigate these levels is going to be a little different than Leon. For example, you're never going to see Grace wielding a chainsaw against zombies that are on fire like you will with Leon, and it's great. It's great fan service that they really leaned into Leon being a badass, because I know everyone is like, oh, Chris Redfield this and Chris Redfield that, and it's like, that's fine, but you gotta also give props to Leon, especially because of his experience, because you can tell in the game that he's obviously in tremendous shape, and he's very capable, even when he's getting surrounded, because if Grace got surrounded like this, in her levels, like Leon is, she'd be destroyed. So Leon being able to defeat tons of badass zombies, it definitely is respectful to not only his character now, but to the journey he's had up until this point. Now both Grace and Leon are able to craft items, though it's a little different, and they can craft some items that the other one can't because it's more tailored towards their playthrough. Like Grace has an injector that she can craft that allows her to take out zombies silently, whereas Leon has basically his fighting axe that he can do this with. And so the items he can craft are going to be much more combat focused than the stealth focus that Grace has, or at least that Grace is supposed to be leaning towards in her playthrough. Now, I say playthrough, but they both happen at the same time. It's not like Leon and Claire in Resident Evil 2 where you played them at separate times. It's just it bounces back and forth between their types of missions. You get what I'm saying. As far as Grace goes, her backstory is told through cutscenes, and it's a great way to flesh out why she's like she is and why this mystery is so important to her solving. Obviously, we know Leon S. Kennedy's backstory through Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4. We don't know Grace's. So the way that Capcom helps us to learn about her is through these cutscenes, as well as through different missions that happen later on, where she's able to uncover information revealing to her about her past. I'm not going to go into that in depth because that would spoil the game a little bit, but you'll see how the bad guys she's fighting against and the bad guys Leon fighting against, why it makes sense that they're after both Leon and they're after Grace. I also don't want to go into spoilers about the bad guys' motivations, about why they're doing what they're doing, again, because that's heavy spoiler information. But I will say that it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like it's second class as far as the other villains in the series. It does feel like it is of the highest quality, the highest tier, and it does belong in this game, in this series, as a legitimate threat, and it feels as if it's canon to the rest of the series, which it is, of course. And it's like that balance that they're able to strike, where Grace is more stealth, suspense, horror, puzzle solving, that type of stuff, and Leon is more action-packed. That's what creates an interesting dynamic in this game. I know a lot of people said, well, I don't really like Grace's sections that much. I prefer Leon's. Or, oh, Leon's are too action-heavy. I prefer the more stealth horror. This game gives you a good balance of both, and it leans heavily into making each of these characters not only capable, but memorable. And in a series with so many characters that they've exposed us to and created for us throughout the years, creating memorable characters now with this newest entry, especially with Grace Ashcroft, it's a huge accomplishment. So yes, this game is a good balance, and there's tons of action-packed stuff in here for Leon. There's great suspense moments in it for Grace. I did say that I was going to cover negative stuff. The only real negative that I did have in this game was in a flashback mission where you have to go to a location in Raccoon City, and you're not playing as Leon or Grace. I'm not really going to expand upon that, but when you hit that level, you'll know what it is. There's no combat ability. It's all sneaking and hiding, basically. And I know that mission was necessary for exposition and to explain certain things in the game, but I just felt like it was a mission that was a dread to play, but it's a small section. So I don't think that should really be counted as a major detriment to this game. Overall, Resident Evil Requiem was a hell of a lot of fun to play. I believe I'm on my second or third playthrough right now, and it doesn't matter whether you're playing as Grace or as Leon S. Kennedy. Either character is good in the missions that they're placed in, because they're two different types of characters, obviously. Grace is well written, she's well acted, and she feels as if she legitimately belongs in the Resident Evil universe. And of course, Leon S. Kennedy, we've seen him evolve and grow, not only as a hero, but as a person. And I believe Leon S. Kennedy in Resident Evil Requiem is the best version that we've ever seen in any video game from Capcom. But as far as Leon S. Kennedy not making it out of Resident Evil Requiem alive, no spoilers, but there are multiple endings, so that's entirely up to you. Anyway, what are you thinking about Resident Evil Requiem so far? Is it a game that you've been interested in, or are you seeing all these people's screenshots and what they have to say and you're kind of like, I'm not sure about it? Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to read them. And obviously, if you did like this video, hit that like button. And last but not least, make sure you share this on social media so others can check it out as well. I do greatly appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sergeant Sentinel. Take it easy, gamers.